What was that?
Our producers happen. What's up?
Happy Sunday morning, all right, at night, or whatever it is.
Welcome back to Bad Production.
Cut it off records.
Over here. What is this? What is going on?
What's happening? Just start over. Just rewind.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Religiously Incorrect Podcast, brought to you by
High Street Fitness. High Street Fitness. Go there, get your body right, get your body tight. With Mr. Phillips, he will get you right. He will get you built. He will get you ready. You know, summertime is coming right back around. Matter of fact, it's halfway here.
Yeah, I don't like people looking at my legs, man. This feels very immodest.
I done seen some Caucasians out there with wife beaters and
at High Street Fitness.
No, I'm just saying outside.
Oh,
they're out there with wife beaters and sandals on.
Oh, I thought you were saying they was getting ready for the second insurrection. They was getting swole, getting ready to take us over. All right, well, we might as well say at the top of the show, as you can see, we have a special guest with us. We have two special guests, actually. We have Brother Carrington Heron, Deacon, Elder, Apostle of the Music Ministry, and joining us soon via satellite, via Starlink, straight from Ukraine. We have our music man, Micah Hall. He'll be with us, and he'll be tapping in real quick, straight from Breaking Kareem's record. You know, he's doing great. So, hey, Pastor Jeff.
What's happening, man?
We're in there. I don't know if we can see any comments, but make sure you like and share. Make sure you say hey, say hi, whatever. But since we've been off the air, and Carrington, we're going to throw you into the middle of this because you're a music guy. Right. There have been quite a few. There have been quite a few performances. We missed the Grammys, which apparently was just a bunch of devil worshiping. Okay, just a bunch of devil worshipers.
Can I stop you right there?
No,
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Everything cannot be the devil.
If you wear red, you're the devil.
Everything. Now, I mean, some of it is, but some of it's like, okay, man,
it's all the devil.
It's just too much.
Hey, Pastor Tatum. I know you didn't watch it because you're sanctified, but I think it was the Sam Smith performance and some other stuff that people were like really tripping about. And
that was the last performance. It was it the last? It was like the Last Supper.
Like the second. Oh,
it was like
the Last Supper was the rappers.
Yeah, the rappers.
Okay,
yeah.
So was it really the last? Was it supposed to be the Last Supper? Or were they just like? I thought they were.
I mean, they were sitting at a table with a bunch, and it was imagery.
But we act like nobody else had a feast but Jesus. Aren't there a lot of kings?
We have them over your house every holiday.
Right.
With you frying that chicken
So here's my thing about the devil worship. And I said this on Ariel's page. She made a comment about it too. There's a lot being said about whether Christians or not can or should handle it, and I guess that's one argument. My whole thing is the imagery of it. Who decided that red and horns is the devil when we all know it's not?
And it's definitely not.
So we know, because we preach to our people, right? You know, that the devil is not a guy in a red suit with a pitchfork and horns or whatever. We say that, but then as soon as the image comes on TV, we say that's the devil, turn it off.
I can go through your Facebook page right now, and I bet you any amount of money, if I go through there long enough, I can find something with you making a sign of Illuminati.
Can we talk about signs?
I can find something.
And what then?
Right.
Is it like a curse coming on you because somebody did one of these? I mean, what does it mean?
I don't know.
Are they summoning demons?
Stupid. You look like you was an Illuminati.
I did one
in one of those classrooms.
I did one of them jumps.
You was in one of those yellow bus classrooms.
It looked like a blank man.
Blank man.
Hey.
In more ways than one. You can't make a blank man anymore. So Carrington, what's your take, man? Did you feel the spirits jumping out the TV on you when you was watching the Grammys? I mean, did it really?
Can I be honest?
Be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Okay.
I was asleep.
Okay. All right.
He said, if I'm not in it, I'm not watching it.
Right.
I will say, I watched the playback and I saw the performance you guys are referring to. It's a question was posed to me, like, because there was a lot of weird symbolism. Like,
okay,
even if that's not what it means, that's what the world thinks it means. So I think it's interesting.
I don't think it's what the world thinks. I think it's what church people think.
But calling a song unholy and going up there with horns on is crazy.
That one was meant for that.
I think they're trolling. I think they're trolling
that's for that.
And we're giving it to them.
Now, if I can be... We are live.
Yeah, we're live, man. Go ahead.
We've
said far worse than you could ever say.
Right, absolutely.
I mean,
even the community that Sam Smith represents, as a figurehead for,
right? The LGBTQ,
right?
Elemental peace. I feel you.
The whole like I thought the whole movement. I thought that part of the Grammys was super strategic. Like that's my opinion though.
But I agree, and I think if you're gonna make a concern, that should be more the concern.
Yeah.
If we believe that's sin, then say there was a sinful display of sinful people parading around. Not there was somebody wearing red in a cage.
Yeah, like
Okay, and so let's go there. Let's stay there. So since we're there, and so there was. Let's just say that was a satanic part or a imagery of a satanic part of.
What if it's the imagery of the homosexual part, though?
Well, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, though. Everybody's upset because Kirk Franklin and Ty Tribbett. So we can't ever go to any concerts.
Well, no. You know what else I thought was interesting?
We can't go to no concert.
Not Sam Smith, apparently.
Well, I'm talking about the Grammys just wasn't about Sam Smith.
That's true.
There was a whole lot of other people there. But I'm saying they're saying Kirk Franklin shouldn't have been there. You know, we halfway fought to get ourselves on there. Now that we're on there, we shouldn't be there.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out what is it.
I mean, if we're gonna say that homosexuality is on display and being pushed in our faces, has nobody been to church lately?
True. Well, I think that's a different argument.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna say that homosexuality is on display, you know.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Because you're right. But I'll say this. The Grammys are so strategic to me. They put the #1 gospel artist that I'm 28 years old, right? Maverick City, I've never seen someone take over gospel
You got
music.
talking to Mike, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My fault, y'all. I've never seen somebody take over gospel music like Maverick City has.
Okay.
However long it's taken them. It's only been a few years. They put the #1 gospel artist in the world on stage and had them sing a secular song. Chandler Moore wrote 4 Grammy noted songs that night.
Right.
And he did not sing one of them.
Okay, well, let me just say this, and we'll jump to Rihanna. He did not sing
Right.
any of those songs.
Right.
They obviously agreed
Right.
to get on that stage and either insist and be turned down
Right.
and take a stand, or insist and get a chance to sing what they wanted to sing.
And I think that's the
so
issue.
I think that's on them to take a stand and say, if I'm gospel and I represent Christ, and that's what I want to represent when I get on this stage. And so I think that's an accountability on them and any other gospel artist that will capitulate. Kirk, we can say, has multiple times done his stuff.
Right.
And then he joined Chance the Rapper.
I don't care if Kirk is doing regular gospel. He's still going to be.
Yeah, he be twerking in Baptist churches. So he don't care.
He going to wear high heels and, dresses and skirts.
Like gospel Prince now.
I guess it's just tough because, like you said, like they made the decision. But once again, presentation and appearance.
Marlon said they should have had Dottie Peoples. they would have shook the devil off.
That's terrible.
All right,
Shake Sam Smith off.
So let's switch up. Let's switch up to Riri. Let's
hated
switch up to Riri.
What's that guy said? Hated it.
No. It was about her catalog, man, and she got a catalog, Doc.
And I don't listen to any of it.
Riri killed it. Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you got an umbrella right now. You got diamonds in the sky and all that stuff.
We got the only diamond I could afford once in my life.
But I'm just saying, I think they tried to make it like, and here's my thing about it, and let's just be honest. And I said this in church. I think we have gotten to the point where we are so inundated with the production that we overlook the pertinent issue, which was the game. We so looking at the, is Riri pregnant? Don't nobody even talk about the black dude scored 4 touchdowns.
Well,
first black dude, right? Nobody. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
They should have stopped that a long time ago. Okay, let me just say my point. I didn't really care about the performance. It didn't catch my eye. But it's just crazy how you just can't not like things these days. I wasn't saying she's not talented. I wasn't saying that she's not successful. I wasn't saying that she ain't rich.
She's flying through the air pregnant. How much more you want her to do?
Okay, I got a question for you. If they had a bluegrass show and it was the world's greatest bluegrass, would you?
First of all, I don't even know what bluegrass is.
It's like that country with banjos and stuff. If you don't like it, you just don't like it, and it's okay to not like stuff. People are like, she's a billionaire, and I still didn't like it.
I'm not saying you didn't have to like. I'm just saying I think the show. I liked it. I think she was good. I think her catalog was
picked
great.
up for child endangerment, dancing 75 feet in the air.
Ooh,
Truth be told,
I'll say that too loud.
I'm calling Children's Services. Mike, you want to say something? You want to throw something in on Riri, Big Mike?
Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, if I'm 80 feet in the air, I'm not doing too much dancing either.
Indeed.
You know
Come
what I mean?
on.
That's
Indeed.
just me,
Indeed.
so.
Now, a couple of those guys almost fell off of that jump.
They look like Mario in Mario game, like jumping from platform to platform. I mean, again, I'm saying the spectacle is obviously technically amazing. There's no doubt that she has been wildly successful. Her music obviously is a part of our culture.
She had 23 minutes?
Right.
23 minutes, and she fit 16 songs
And that's
in
amazing.
23 minutes.
What I'm just saying is there's a lot of things that are part of our musical catalog of our generation that we don't listen to, and it's okay. And if they came on, we'd be like, all right, dude is obviously talented, but it ain't my cup of tea. Right. It's the way we jump on each other. Like, I didn't say she's not a good singer or not a good dancer or should have danced more or should have been sexier or whatever. All I said was, I didn't care for the performance. And then people just go insane on you. Like, I lost a few members. I mean, I'm serious. Like, ties were down. Ties were down. Nobody wanted to shout this Sunday.
Tiffany, don't ever correct me on stage.
No,
don't ever do that.
Last week.
Don't ever correct me. I'm the man in this relationship.
And nailed him doing shut. He said, hey, when he come home, Tiffany said, go to bed, Jeffrey. Go to bed.
She only want me to go to bed for one reason, bitch. I'm married.
Okay, here we go. All right, y'all. What do you think about the performance, about Riri's?
He didn't watch it. He was sleeping.
He was
I was at my man CJ's house. My Eagles were playing, so I really wasn't.
That was the focus.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned about watching. I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not gonna lie. But I will say, for her to be away for so long, the hype was there. I think she was smart to take the performance, even though she was pregnant. But I'm like, you only gonna get offered the Super Bowl once in your life. So
she turned it down once.
Really?
During the cap time, during the Kaepernick stuff.
And the little when she used her little makeup thing.
She was on TV smelling herself.
So what made her do it now? That's crazy.
Hey, we found your co-host, Jeff, man. We found your co-host. Marlon, we'll be calling you this week. We'll be calling you, Marlon, this week.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
I didn't know she turned one down.
She was smelling herself. Yeah, she turned one down, but in solidarity with Cap a while back.
Cap's still not working. What made her take this one?
But he got
This
that
was
payout, though.
yeah.
He did get that payout. Hey, they wrote a big enough check. That's what happened. I mean, let's just be real. And so it sounds like there's a theme that from Maverick City to Riri that if you present a big enough stage, you can't say no.
And that's a machine. I failed to mention that.
All right, we gotta watch because Tatum. Next time I go to New York, there's gonna be cars following me. So I need to watch myself. But I mean, I just feel like Christians on the Christian tip, we're inserting ourselves too much into things. Somebody did say something to me, and they got mad. And I got smart with her back because I don't know if she thought I was a pastor. I wasn't gonna say nothing back, but she was like, "Why are you watching this anyway? You're supposed to be a pastor." And that was just me saying I don't like it. I didn't even say it was demonic. But I think the people who do think everything is demonic, you just throw your TVs away.
Yeah.
Throw your TVs away.
Please.
And go back to prayer meeting 5 days a week.
I know we going, but I mean, they going crazy because people want to go to Beyonce. First of all, if you got enough money to go to Beyonce concert, go ahead and go. Because I need
pay your tithes first.
I need unemployment prices. I need I need welfare. Sell my food stamp prices.
I'm not mad at Beyonce. I mean, if she got it and people would pay it, what? I would charge it.
Yeah, people still buying the tickets.
Oh, they got to be buying them. I mean, she's going. I wouldn't go, not because I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go not because I wouldn't want to see her, but because I ain't paying that price to see her.
I heard there's some affordable tickets too.
No, they're affordable. Yeah, they're not bad.
I heard there's a lot of affordable
I mean, you'll be in
tickets.
like the air ducts.
But that's what I mean. If you're going to sit way back there, you might as well watch it on, because that's all you're going to be able to do is watch it on TV there.
I just wait for the concert to come out on Netflix or something, or
Right.
But I've never been. Again, I've just not been a Beyonce.
Beychella Part 2.
I don't think she's the devil. She's a successful person. I mean, people forget. We're a little older, but people forget that people accused Michael Jackson of celebrating the occult when he made Thriller.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah!
He was Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you ever watch the video, there's a disclaimer he placed at the beginning where he says, "This in no way, reflects my belief in the occult or whatever," because he got complaints about Thriller. So this is nothing new. This is just a part of culture, and there's always been a sky is falling element to Christians.
Well, and I think
is the mark of the beast, and Jesus is coming back, and they be like,
and it's gonna get you likes.
Jesus is coming back for real.
It's gonna get you likes, and you're gonna go viral.
Like all this death and destruction, and the Grammys. That's the last straw. Like, I mean, I just feel like there's so many other things I can attribute to Jesus being upset about. There's literally millions of people starving in Africa and people killing each other in war and famine and abuse. And we're like, nah, man, it's Sam Smith. He's it. He's the guy. Like, that's a problem for me. So I just feel like we should be less panicky all the time and try to be more loving, or just shut your mouth. How about that?
If you don't want to watch it, don't watch
quiet.
it. That's it.
That's what the word says. That's what the old bishops would say. Study to be quiet. Right. Y'all know what time it is. It's time, if they push the button right, for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the Week.
Before I get done.
Meme of the Week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
We are. These are all jokes. We are just playing.
It's 2023, y'all. I'm tired of sexy church. I'm tired of sexy church. Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. I'm over it. Turn the lights on. I can't see nobody. This is why y'all don't even try to put on no clothes no more. Everybody's coming to church in black jeans. Everybody looks like a theater tech. Everybody looks like a theater tech at church because the lights is off, so nobody's trying. Okay, the praise and worship team is working as hard as they can, even though they can't see because it's so dark in there, and y'all still just rocking out. No, turn the lights on because I want to see God. I want to see you. And that brings me to my next point. I'm tired of these whisper lullabies. Crank the organ up. I've been through some things, okay? I've been through some things, and these whisper lullabies in the keys of C, G, A, and E, they're not doing it for me no more. We had a good run. Pull the drawbars out. Turn the click track on. Turn the lights up. And somebody catch me. That's what I'm trying to. I need that. I need. That's what I need. Okay? Turn the lights on. I'm done with sexy church.
All right.
Oh.
Stop.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. So we did a different meme of the week. Instead of a picture, we did a video. An old girl said she's tired of sexy church. We could have did a whole show off of this. And this is probably a bad choice to do this, but I concur. But that's because I am a 95-year-old man stuck in a 40-year-old's body. So my opinion can't be trusted on these things. I wish we were back in the plantation somewhere. Ooh. So anybody else?
Not in the plantation. Not in the plantation.
We prayed harder back then.
This is a little lighter than me. That's
we prayed. I'd be in the house. I would have been in the house serving grits.
That's why you felt good saying that.
Making biscuits. But this big boy out here.
They got me outside.
They got him out there. But I feel it a little bit. It does feel a little over the top. And maybe not for every app, not for all that do it, but all that attempt to portray it doesn't always fit everything. And I see a lot of people trying to shove it in, and it's not. I like what she said about the songs had a good run, though. I was like, that was funny.
Unlike Todd Santos,
Santos.
I don't want to be black on the plantation, but I do.
Jewish.
I do hate the whole lights out. I mean, come on, they're gonna start putting stars up in their churches.
They already do.
It's gonna be everything.
Lights.
Yeah, I mean, it's too much. It's too much.
How you gonna see the demons to cast them out if all the lights are out? I mean, I want to see to read my Bible.
Listen, you cannot beat the devil in the dark. He has an advantage.
The Bible says, "Walk in the light." I think it's just another change, and you know what? There might have been the same kind of talk when they put like red carpet in the church for the first time.
Right.
And they was like, oh man, we walking on blood fire or something. I mean, who knows what they would say, you know.
Chairs.
Yeah. Bringing chairs. It's that business one church might be the old basement party. Marlon, we'll call you tomorrow, man. And he's auditioning right now. Marlon's auditioning right now, man. He's trying to get discovered. He said, I was about to get a partner and go to a corner. That is hilarious. It does feel a little sexy. Remember we had that at Agape one time? It was an Easter service, and that couple in the back was like slow dancing.
I remember.
Yeah, they were in the last pew, and I happened to run to the back to do something while they was in worship. And like there was a couple like standing in front of each other in the pew, like.
Hey, it was probably Micah's sister singing Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Brandy was bringing sexy back to the church, and somebody caught that vibe. And I mean, but that was those days we was reaching like everybody.
Right, everybody.
Yeah, like dope dealer guy was like leaving stolen goods as tithes and stuff, and he was like, "Hey, here's a random bag from Best Buy. I just want to give this to you." And I'm like, "Man, why you give me hard drives? What is this all about? Your tires fell off the back of a truck." So, yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a lot to be said about that, about the stylistic of church. Visuals matter.
It does.
Visuals matter, but I don't think visuals fit everybody. I think you just have to exercise. We've added a few lights, but we still got them white walls, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like the mothers want to see them white walls and that cross. They can see the cross.
Is Dave Harbrook on today? I went up from Dave pulpit. Dave Harbrook had them big,
them hot lights.
Man, them light, man. I was like, oh my God, how do you preach with this?
He had them Grand Ole Opry lights.
I'm like, how do you preach? You should be blind by now. You should be Barnabas. I don't know what's going on.
He had them Garth Brooks lights going on up there.
Jesus, thou son of Jonah.
I got a complaint about when we got our first screen at Agape and we covered up the cross, and we got a complaint about it. Like, you covered up the cross. They literally said, "You covered up the cross. I can't see Jesus."
Man. I don't know. I struggle with the lights.
You struggle?
I struggle because I've had some people tell me, I need the lights on because sometimes seeing someone else get theirs, get deliverance, and them worshiping, it motivates me. Or, they think about kids. If kids see people, praising and being involved in the service, then
that's an interesting take.
But let me ask you, because this probably affects you more than anybody. These songs, these real slow, because y'all don't get to play no more. Y'all drummers, y'all get to hit the one time.
They be having that one chime thing. They be like, remember the percussionist?
Yeah, I hate
that's all you get.
Why are percussionists always weird? I've never met a normal percussionist. They always be like, they be miming and doing percussion at the same time.
I know too many cats on percussion had this conversation on Facebook.
It's the truth, though. I've never met a normal auxiliary percussionist.
Oh, man.
You have to be special to play percussion.
You do. I remember when it was like, oh no, you can't play. You're not gonna play main key. You can put you on percussion.
Right.
But now it's like I got to call somebody in
to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when I was coming up, it was rototoms. You had them little rototoms on the side. Man, somebody could kill those. If you know, then you know. If you know, then you know.
So does it bother you though? Does it bother you? Did you don't get to jam no more?
I think it's about your musicality. Like, to technically answer that question, like, the music is way more open. Whereas, like, for example, like a Ricky Diller cut, there are portions you have to play what's required in that spot. I got to be locked in. I got to match what the bass player is doing. We got to move. You know what I'm saying? Transitions. The CCM style gospel stuff, because we're not playing it how they play it, it's so open that if you don't have something to say musically, like if you don't have a bag to go into, you will get really bored.
You'll get bored real quick.
Yeah, you'll get bored. And like the people in the crowd, they respond to your energy when it comes to that music. You know what I mean?
Like, you gotta give them something.
Yeah, you gotta give them something.
I feel it.
It's like if your church is like that, you gotta hire the guys.
I feel it.
Okay, good.
Well, we're way behind time. The hour is far spent. So let me thank our ads real quick. Phillips Family Care of Businesses, starting with Phillips Cleaning Service, residential, commercial, floor cleaning, basic cleaning. They also do house repairs, and they actually did something for me this past week. Really appreciate it. Call Fernando at 219-7916, and while you're at it, before you know it, the grass will be growing again. So check out Phillips Care Lawn Services. Lawn care starting at $30. It can't possibly still be $30. Inflation is just too high. I'm sure it's going to be more, so don't quote me. But call my man. Anything you can think of concerning yard or outdoors, Fernando will take care of it. He's got a great crew. Look him up on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC, and that is it. All right, so we're at the 25-minute mark, and we're going to bring our other guests right in because our show is called Pay to Play. And we want to talk with our musician friends, brothers, these professionals who serve the church And we want to talk about the expectations. We want to talk about the professionalism. We want to talk about the disagreements, maybe the conflicts that come with being a musician in today's church world, and where you'd like to see things go, maybe where you see things headed, and how churches can respond, and what church members or attendees can expect. So we have Carrington Herring in here with us from the famous Herring family. He's an amazing young man doing great things, carrying on the next generation. And bringing in right now, my man Micah Hall is coming in. What's happening, Micah?
What's going on? How y'all feeling?
Man, we good, man. How are you?
Good. You're awfully far away,
Good, man.
Micah. I
Good to
mean,
see
this
y'all.
cat,
Sorry,
you want to see the whole view. This cat. Never mind, back up. Never mind.
Nah, you good, Doc. You good.
I praise you, Doc. No, it's good to have y'all here. I need a little more volume on Micah. It's great to have y'all here. You know, and I want to give y'all the floor first, because we did a lot of talking. And I want to start with Micah. And we're in an era of worship bands. We're in an era of, salaries and stipends and creating a good team with, and if you want a quality worship experience at a quality church. How do you feel about where the church is going concerning music and musicians? And maybe you can speak for musicians. How do you feel where we're going and where we need to be?
Oh, man,
It's a broad question, I know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I will say, I don't want to be too politically correct, but I'll say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I will say that a lot of these songs that we're playing now, I heard you guys talking about how things are more simple. Drummers don't get to do what they would do before. But in that, I don't want to be boring, but there is beauty in the music that is going on now, because it's just so open. Like Tank said, if you're just a regular player, if you want to play 1, 4, 5, 6, 1, you can do that. But you can do those same progressions and still have fun with it, just depending on your musicianship. So I will say that, some of the songs are very dry. If you listen to the words, it's like, okay, what are you talking about? But the songs that really have the oil on it, it's like finding that perfect balance between, music can drive you to a place. And both of you guys know, as preachers, can people get excited when the organ's not pushing you to go there? What's your relationship with God really? Do you need an organ for you to see what God has brought you throughout the week? So more than anything, more than the music, it's the words that they're saying. And I don't want to seem boring, because I'm a musician. Some of the stuff just is straight up boring. I'll say that. It's terrible, But that's my take on that.
I feel it. Carrington, you want to pop into that? And if we got any comments, if you want to pop your comments in, I'm sure they'll respond to them.
I kind of agree with Micah. There is a beauty in space, and I think space leaves opportunity for things like worship, understanding. I think we so used to. I know I grew up in a stomp and smack church.
Right.
Drums. You didn't, even though we had great musicians, you didn't need too much but to, you know what I mean?
To go with it, right.
Yeah, and if you couldn't, it was really about the aggressiveness of your musicianship, and, because we got to stay locked in. I think the music that we're playing now requires more patience, and like as a musician, take the genre away. As a musician, there's more thinking involved now. There's more production involved now. But if you're the average churchgoer and you're not used to this change of pace, I can understand why this would be like shell shock, or for us, culture shock.
Right.
Because it's like, whoa, and a lot of times, I think with the change, it's people found God at a place and they didn't know he existed somewhere else.
Wow.
So it's like, man, when I got saved, the organ was screaming, people was yelling Jesus, and I was crying.
And I got it for real.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But you got it.
You got it.
You got it. So now that some of the lights are dimmed, somebody playing, strings and piano, and the words a lot more simple, it's like, man, this ain't it. And it's like, well, I don't know, because he got it too,
We don't know though. The mothers ain't said he got it yet.
Right.
Mother's got to spit on you at least 5 times to make sure you got it. I mean, if they brought back mothers screaming at you, I could deal with that. If it was Maverick City and church mothers, I'd be like, all right, I can do that.
Church mothers.
I can do that. We need to do Maverick City mothers.
Right.
That's what I want to see.
So listen, fellas, both of y'all, back in the day, it was like a catalog of cats out here, man. You know, you could almost go to your Rolodex and find a drummer or a P-word player or somebody. And, you know, now, like most of the cats, most of the dudes, they locked in somewhere. So even if you try to call somebody, you know, either you paying out to, you know, I mean, because, I mean, you know, cats ain't leaving just for, you know, they ain't just gigging no more for the fun of it, just to help you out. But you know what I mean? So it's almost like y'all got like a little union now.
Yeah, they got a secret union they ain't told us
you know,
about.
They got a little union. You know what I mean? Like you know,
they about to go on strike.
Yeah, it's like, you know, nah, doc, I ain't gonna kick it. You know, the little $50 y'all used to give, nah, I ain't even gas money no more.
Right.
I mean, where has that come? I mean, because honestly, I mean. Some of y'all cats are y'all that dude now. Y'all are that dude now.
But everybody's not that dude.
But yeah, truth. Everybody ain't that. And so if you don't get that dude, you definitely getting what you paying for.
But they might still charge like that dude.
Well, they want to try to charge like that. So I mean, is there a pay rate? Is there, you know what I mean? And I know cats like Micah, who's probably one of the best piano players around here. I know. I mean, this cat has came and done stuff, and maybe it's just because we have relationship and always been like, man, whatever, you know, whatever. And I know he don't do that for everybody, but I mean, how do y'all charge? How do y'all look at the church? Do y'all look at the size? What do y'all do with that?
I'm gonna let the family man answer first. I'm sure he
got mouths to feed. He got mouths to feed.
No, but here's the thing, and I'm glad because I've been grounded multiple times in this. I feel like assignments are very important, and musicians get away from that. Bishop Paramore came to the church not too long ago, and he said a word specifically to the musicians. Musicians, don't pimp yourself to the highest bidder. Me and Tank talk about this all the time. We could be getting paid $2,000 a week, just throwing a number out. If I'm miserable playing my instrument, then it's drawing me away from what I really love to do. I don't want to go somewhere to, number one, where the leader's not giving me a good word. The pastor doesn't feel like my pastor. You know, he's not, pouring into me like that. And then number two, I'm playing with the band to where everybody's walking in. Even if it's a huge church, if everybody's getting paid great and it's just a job to them, to me, that's not fun. If you don't understand that we are here on assignment to set the atmosphere, we don't need you to come up here and shed. We don't need you to come up here and say, listen, y'all said we're done at 11 o'clock, we got to go. And I understand people have different obligations and things like that. It's all understandable, but that's, to me, I could talk about this for a long time. This is a touchy subject. A lot of musicians are going for the dollar, and a lot of them are getting paid, but they're stuck where they're at because their minds are stuck on money. You may have been, maybe you were supposed to be attached to a preacher that could have paid you a third of the money, but you might be traveling across the entire country, making more money than you could have ever made just from submitting to where you were supposed to be at in that moment. So, like you said, Pastor Jeff and Pastor Todd, anybody that I've come across in my journey, I will always, you guys know, you can call me. Whatever you need from me, I got you. But I feel like you guys have been placed in my life for a reason. Not to pay me. Like, God's taking care of me. For my faithfulness and what I've given to the church, God has taken care of me. Outside of the church, I've never had to depend on the church for anything. God has taken care of me. So that's all I got to say on that.
Now, you said, you have a, obviously a career outside of the church. That's a debate of whether or not musicians should have a career outside of the church or depend fully on the church. And what that creates as far as the dynamics of what you said. Obviously, I can't hate on the fact that you are considering the funds that you are going to be receiving if those are your only funds. How much of that should we expect? And, our context is Warren, Youngstown, Midwest, small towns, smaller churches, whatever. Right. How much of that should be taken into account when someone's saying, I need my livelihood to be fully supported by the church I play for, or the church I play for, plus gigging, this, that, and the other, whatever might come with it. What do you feel is the wisdom of that, the understanding of that life situation, Carrington? I mean, where do you stand on that?
I'm a name drop. So shout out to Pastor Eddie Parker. He probably don't even know who I am. In Cleveland, Ohio. He used to come to Monument when I was younger, and he would say every time it was offering time, he would say, I'm raising this offering for the church, yada, yada, yada. I don't trust anyone in here to feed my wife.
Huh.
And he's preaching.
Right.
And I'm like, man, that stuck with me as a kid. And then when I got older and I started taking music more serious, I'm like, I agree with you. I don't trust anybody on the floor or in the pulpit pay for my soon-to-be wife. Shout out to Diamond Valentine, soon-to-be hair.
God bless you, man. Bless you, man.
Glory,
Welcome to the
glory.
club.
You gonna propose online?
Right.
I'm going here.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Start the serenade.
No, but when he said that, I was like, wow, that's huge. And I'll say this. You need multiple streams of income, regardless if all the streams are music related.
Right.
But I'm not ever leaving it up to a human who can, I come in on a Sunday 5 minutes late, and you could have had the worst week of your life, and today that's just not okay, and I'm fired.
Right.
So I can't leave that up to anyone, especially, the older we get, you just realize, the more I need to have more control of where I'm going. The things that I can't handle, I need to handle.
Right.
So, I'd like to make sure that I'm always prepared. Like gigging outside of church, that's a thing. Playing consistently at a church is a thing. But then also I've moved into like production and things of that nature. The way I see it, I don't want to be playing drums at somebody's church by the time I'm 35.
I feel it.
I'm 28, and I'm like, man, I don't need to be on drums. We swelling at 11 a.m. I got kids. Nothing wrong with that. But if I am, I want it to be on a totally different level. You know what I mean?
I feel it.
Because growing up in, like you said, in Northeast Ohio, in the Midwest, it's very blue collar, very grinded out. And so no matter how talented or gifted you are, the pay reflects that.
Right.
Because, I can practice as much as I want. I can shoot for the stars, and I can be getting, flown out to play gigs all over the country. But at the end of the day, whatever the tithe is, that's what it is.
That's what it's going to be.
That's what it's going to be. So I wouldn't.
I'm going to get mine. The pastor does get paid first.
You know what I mean?
I made sure I cleared that with the deacons.
It's like you always have to have, I think, being stable is on you. It's not on the church.
I feel it.
Oh, that's good, Doc.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's a lot being said because obviously what this music shift is creating is a different brand of musician. Obviously no disrespect, but the old lady at the Baptist church can't run with this stuff and give what we want. And churches want something, at least some of us do. And obviously I see musicians, and I read the commentary and I see how it's going. And obviously the musicians want something. They want to present something. They want to operate at a certain level to the best of their ability. And I hear and read stuff about, equipment needs to be at this level. We want to be able to operate in this particular. But I'm watching, and again, let's go back to context of culture and maybe a region and area. It's like a lot of churches can kind of do without it and be like, nah, we cool with the old. And they are. They're cool if it's the hymn, the old lady on the piano, and that preacher doing his same old thing. I say this same thing about like mega churches and all. It's still not the norm. Mm-hmm. It might be on its way there.
Right.
Even the way you guys, our band, we got a nice tight band. See, it does a great job. I see what you guys do. I see what Micah's running. That's still not the norm.
It's not.
That's maybe in our region 5 churches. In the whole region, maybe.
Yeah.
More like 3 or 4 where you can count on an actual synced band attempting to play rehearsed music that has, whether it's traditional or newer or whatever, they're actually, okay, how's that intro go? Because, if you go to Baptist, the intro is playing the whole song all the way through while the choir stands up. That is the intro, playing the chorus while the choir is doing this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but at the same time, then we have this, okay, start the click track, da-da-da-da, we know when to hit, blah, blah, blah. Again, that's not the norm. Right. And sometimes I do feel a frustration that there aren't as many platforms available to express that excellence through the church. It's just not there, whether the money is the style of the church, the flavor, the culture, whatever. you know, a lot of people just happy foot stomping still, or they relegate to, hey, that's where our budget is. This is what we do. This is what the people are accustomed to. How do you feel about that imbalance between what you're capable of presenting and what the church is actually hungry for, if you want to put it that way?
Now, this is where I could probably talk forever.
Talk forever, Doc. We got 2 minutes. No, I'm joking.
There is definitely a difference between this is what we have the budget for, and this is what we're actually going to pay for.
Okay.
Because I think this is these are the situations I've been in before. In no specific ministry, but I've heard it, you know, friends, and it's like, okay, we want to do A, B, and C. A, B, and C probably is all production related, whether it's lights, whether it's, these are things that people may not know that they're paying for. Because I bring drumsticks everywhere I go. I'm a drummer. I'm a professional drummer.
Right.
Me showing up without drumsticks is ridiculous, no matter how big the church is.
You hear that, CJ? No, I'm joking.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But like some churches buy drumsticks, right? I don't need drumsticks. I'm at a different level. I've graduated there. I want to know, can we work on miking all the drums? Can we start feeding, you know, the drum mix into the live stream? Can we mix the live stream? You know what I mean? I know a lot of churches are still doing the phone, open air. You get what you get. If you can hear it, you can. If you cannot, you can, you know what I mean? And I'm like, man, my viewpoint has broadened on what I want to spend money on now.
Right.
And that's tough because I'm like, man, pews, carpet, chandeliers, big chairs, you know, like I feel like things get paid for and things get kept. And it's easy if your music department never was, if it wasn't like the shining star of your ministry, that's not something you're going to be so easily adjusted to paying for.
Right.
But like you said, it's 2023. And if it's one thing COVID did is it put everyone on display when we went live.
That is true.
And now if I can say what I know for a fact, my generation, like I said, I'm 28 years old, 18 to 35, they're watching your live stream and deciding if they're getting out of bed to drive over there now. And even though my man who's watching the stream may not know what kind of drum set you have, he hears that someone isn't taking care of it.
Now, let me challenge you on that. Which 18 to 35s? The 18 to 35s who grew up with you in church, who gig, who know music, who know gospel? Or are we talking about the other 95% of 18 to 35 seeking God who don't really know about any of that?
Yeah.
And they're not even gospel savvy, church savvy. You know, we live in an unchurched generation, obviously. It started about my age, you know, completely unchurched. I feel like the younger set of our musicians and with all the gifts, sometimes I wonder, who is the target audience?
That's a good
Because
question.
there's a large generation, and I feel like, we used to say it's about older people. Older people are dying, they're shrinking, you know, that church is shrinking. But also, people who are in church, period, are shrinking.
Yeah.
So are we thinking more broadly about what reaches the lost? Or, and I don't mean this derogatorily, but are we more about how can we better entertain the found?
Okay, yeah.
Have you been in church so long that we want things to be different, want things to be advanced, and we want the people who grew up like us to feel like we're advancing? Or are we thinking about, because honestly, I'm getting plenty of 18 to 35s at good old Second Baptist. Most of them are not church kids.
Yeah.
Most of them are not coming in saying that production was nice.
Right.
What they're saying is, I'm hurting, I'm going through life, I'm stressed, you know, and what I'm getting when I come to church, some of it is old school too. It is feeding my spirit.
Yeah.
And so I feel like sometimes the talk of what people are seeing and they notice our production, I always ask, well, what people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Well, I'll say too, I think every ministry has a different assignment in different regions. Because I noticed like there are some ministries in other areas that I've noticed, not around here,
Right.
where it's like, man, when people first get saved, this church is amazing for the start of their journey. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, A1, the way they handle them, the way they break it down for them, the way the ministries are ran throughout the week. And then if people are leaving, they're constantly bringing in new converts.
Right.
So the church stays full, and even though it seems like it's an open door, it's the right open door.
Right.
You know, it's a swinging door. With that being said, I think the reason I brought up us trying to be excellent in that particular ministry is because people we just talked about Beyonce's show. People are debating on whether they're going to, pay rent money to go see Beyonce.
Right.
And I'm like, Saturday night, and I'm saying this is for anyone because I've had people who've watched my videos on Instagram or live stream, and they're like, man, what church are you at? My church is not like that.
Right.
And it'll be someone who I know. I'm like, man, I go to school with you. I didn't even know you were going to church.
Right.
And they're like, well, I don't like it.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. I go, I grew up, but seeing church with I want to say a plethora of ages because it's not about all young. I think that's terrible.
Right.
I don't trust my generation. And then, you got the older churches where it's not much happening.
Right.
Seeing the mixture and that everyone's involved in service, I think that inspires anyone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just being involved in service. But what I was going to say, my first point, I'm sorry. What I was going to say is when churches have those different assignments, I think they focus on what brings people in for that church.
Right.
And the issue is, to me, that no one really is trying to bring in the people who see Beyonce on Saturday.
I am.
And
I want them. That's why I be singing single ladies and stuff on Sunday morning.
but it's like it's tough to see B on Saturday, and then Sunday morning, like you said, the mother is on playing.
But it's not. Well, the mothers. You're correct. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I couldn't go there. I could not ask a person to come to that, but I could ask them. And something that I am seeing goes back to sexy church girl. Mm-hmm. There are some who are like, I went to the club last night.
Right.
I don't want to feel like that on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. I'm okay being somewhere while I'm sitting in grandma's pew. Now, does it need to be better presented? When I came to my church, both me and my wife was like, okay, what are we going to do with this? And the first answer is always, and this was one of the first answers I got, well, Pastor Al, you going to get rid of all of that. You just going to knock it down and such and such and such and such. And I'm like, actually, no. I was growing in a love for hymns. I'm like, I don't think the hymn is bad. I think the way you sing it is dry.
Right.
How about I get up and add some life and some flavor, and then, you start getting the band together and playing it correctly. We ain't doing no remixes, but the excellence of that flow, when we do these old tracks, we did The Lord is Blessing Me Right Now. You did the old tracks and you're rocking it right. Young and old are like, okay, I can get with that.
Right. And
I often say, no matter what the context or style or culture, give it quality. Give it the quality it deserves. Because James Cleveland deserves the same quality as Maverick City.
Yes.
You ought to give it to it. But what they did is we gave up on James Cleveland. We don't even know what the song's supposed to sound like anymore. Richard Smallwood been cussed us out like 9 times about singing Total Praise the wrong way. Because we just gave up on actually trying to do it remotely right.
Post every word.
But see, Pastor Side, you are a musician.
There is an
you have
advantage there.
musicality.
Right.
So when you come in, you can say, okay, I can know how to switch that up. A lot of pastors, myself, are not musically inclined. So does that go back to bringing the right MD in? Or getting the right musicians?
And I think the right MD for the culture of your church.
Right.
Because I'm paying, as a pastor, a person who can fit the culture and stretch the culture of our church appropriately. Fit where we're at, the DNA of who we are, but also stretch appropriately. Like, you're not about to just throw us directly into Maverick City is not a fair one, but let's say Maverick City flow. Like, immediately we might implement what feels like it will be a good slide into that place, but it definitely has to do with the person who has a heart for the church and not just for, this is my flavor, this is my flow, this is where I gotta be. You're gonna get what you get. You know what I mean?
I think that's a lack of professionalism.
I agree.
Being versatile, and Mike, chime in whenever, bro.
Yeah, we lost Mike for a minute. He had that Boost Mobile. He had that. He had that Obama phone. Are you back, Mike? Did you pay that bill? We good?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
There you go.
Yep. So what were you guys talking about? Sorry about that.
We were talking about different styles, and I mentioned that when I hire someone, I hire for them for the context of my church. Second Baptist is a certain flavor of church. You got to be able to obviously rock with the traditional. You can stretch a little bit, and we want to stretch, but we have a DNA. And Carrington made the point that if a person can't be versatile or refuses to be, that's a mark of unprofessionalism, that they're not going to prepare themselves to serve where they're at. And, want you to chime in on that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. So we're talking on the musician side, right?
Right. Like what the church is asking the musicians to do and, what the musicians capable of doing or willing to do.
Okay, yeah, 100%. Because naturally, I mean, that's even something that I struggled with along the way. Uh, Naturally, I'm just not the most churchy. Like that's not natural to me. I grew up in quartet, so we played everything wrong, but we know how to pick up everything. If that makes sense.
Right. Right.
Song that I ever played, like we'll pick it up, like yeah, we got you, but you're playing it wrong. So when
Right.
I first came into the more modern church scene, it was Antron Hill that really helped me. I was really having a hard time of I was just playing little stuff wrong that I thought was right, but I literally had no idea. I'm like, dude, I don't know this, style of music. So I agree with you guys 100%. If you're not willing to, commit yourself to learning, and that's sometimes the struggle sometimes, and I'm sure Tank would agree, but sometimes dealing with older musicians, they're not, you've been doing something for 35 years. You can't just change something like that. So it's going to take an even bigger step for them to, to modernize yourself. And that's a tough thing to do. So it does take a lot of commitment. And I agree with you 100%. You can't just, if you're not willing to spend that time to learn, the new things and especially I feel like there's no excuse now because like we talked about earlier, a lot of the music is very vanilla, you know, on the surface level. I don't want to just play it. Like there's a lot of freedom to do stuff, but if you can't just play a major on the one, a major on the four, a major on the five, a minor on the six, it's like, all right, and it stinks that it has to be like that, but I agree with you. You got to commit yourself to be able to,
Right.
You know what?
Right.
And just to play devil's advocate, and I know Mike can get with me on this. The church I grew up in, I can only probably name a few cats our age that can go just play right now. Because like you said, the music is requiring you to have a very different library and you got to play.
Right.
Period. Like let it be known. It's much harder to play at a traditional Baptist Pentecostal church than it is to play at a, we dimming the lights right now.
You got your set.
Yeah.
Your set is set.
Yeah, because
in
we
a lot
can
of
walk
ways.
in and you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I still need you to be really good.
Right. Right.
And that's how I look at my friends who we run with, and CJ, the people we play with often. Whenever I'm with Micah, if it's going to change on the fly, that's what I'm paying you for. I'm paying you to, you've practiced for years. You've got to this point in your career to where now I can sit you on the stage, and no matter what happens, we can go
Right.
at a high level.
Right. I want to ask, there's been a lot said, and I'm grateful that it's being said. Again, I went from being a musician to being a pastor. Now, I had the privilege of being in a very healthy situation, very healthy. My father was a man of integrity, obviously PK, but it wasn't even like favoritism PK. It was just he wanted to do things right, do things fair, not exploit me. And I loved what I did. I was in a good culture. But I watched so many of my peers in a bad culture. Exploitative, you ought to do this for the Lord, then get talked down, beat down, underpaid, all that stuff. Do you feel that there's been somewhat of an overcorrection when you talk about the guys chasing the money who would think like, hey, they're going to treat me like dirt anyway. I might as well get mines. It's not, like there's an overcorrection to the value of a musician because we know that good music costs. We know that good talent, rehearsal time, taking the time to develop yourself. But sometimes it feels like a young lady would say, I watched my grandma get mistreated. I ain't going out like that. And they turn into like something else that's not wife ready. Yeah. It's like we've watched good church musicians get mistreated. So now we might have some in the generation who are like, I'm not going to go out like that, but I'm honestly not church ready because I'm so desperate to not be like, let's be honest. There's some cats we know that are blazing and have been blazing for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's kind of sort of pathetic. You're kind of like, you've been taken advantage of, you've been used, this is just your lane. And I support young guys like, yeah, not me. You ain't about to just pay me in chicken bones. But then it might be an overcorrection where it's like, oh, I got to have this. I know you getting it. You can't have a good service without me. Don't let me get up and walk out. So it turns into how do you counter that becoming toxic like that?
Oh, man, I think that's a root issue. I'm going to be honest.
A what issue?
A root issue. I'm talking like, who did you watch and listen to when you were young? how did they talk around you? What was the nature of that beast? Like, what environment were you in? What were their expectations, and did you watch them meet them? Because like, I can't feel that way. Like the overcorrect. I think you're right. That's happening a lot. And then if I can just be honest, once again, Micah, correct me if I'm wrong. Most of them, you're not that good. Yeah, like, hey, bro, like, come on, you know.
I done called a couple cats for funerals and was like disappointed by the first song. Like, dude,
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
you don't know there's not a friend? Like, are you for real? Like, you didn't try to learn Take Me to the King the right way? Are you for real?
See, that's the thing. And
Do I need to come over there?
Yes.
Like, I'm like, do I need to step over there? And, you know, right. But they're like, yo, but I needed this, though, to come. And I'm like,
yeah, I think that is becoming a thing.
yeah.
One of the other things I see that happen a lot, I saw, especially on these YouTube videos, I think it was Paul Morton who chastises musicians for
Yeah,
walking out.
for walking
or
out.
Walking out or walk. And, you know, it happened a lot. I've seen a lot of, you know, after they got done gigging or we call gigging or playing.
They play this,
They go
yeah.
and they go get a drink or something. But I mean, if you don't come back
They go get a
until
drink. They go get, in Carrington's case, they go get a little sippy sip. They go get a little sippy sip.
But I mean, it's cool. You got done playing. You know you tired. You know you go get a drink. But I mean, you should kind of like get back. You know what I mean? You know, before we get to the high hoop. You know what I mean? You
Right.
know. But I mean, what is that? I mean, is it wrong for him to check him for that, or you know what I mean? Or,
Like,
Yeah, so if you don't, yeah, and so I feel like there's the pastor, and I feel like it's very important for the minister of music to kind of be over that. You know, you got to kind of have people that are. That what you guys are talking about is 100% right, because that's something I did. I'm not just trying to bash other people. You know, as soon as we got done playing, we would go out and just go kick it. I couldn't tell you what the pastor talked about. But as you get older and you have a family and you got to start praying over your kids and your wife, you know, you go to church on Sunday to play music and get paid, but you leave without the word. So honestly, that's something that I really had to, like, I came to a point of in the position I'm in now, to where I have to kind of, you know, not guide people, but it's like, you know, when we're done playing, I'm out there listening to what Pastor talks about. Pastor can come talk to me afterwards, and I'm like, great word, you know, and I can recite what he was talking about. But that's helping me in my everyday life. So I think it's just a huge cycle of, it's a problem, 100%. I mean, it's a problem, and I understand. A lot of us play in multiple churches, so I'm understanding. You know, the third, fourth service, it's like, all right, you know, after this, I'm going to get some and go talk. I get it. But in one of those services, I feel like it's very important as musicians that we don't forget why we're there. At the end of the day, you know, we're up under a pastor. No.
And that's another thing you said earlier about being under the right kind of pastor, part of the ministry, and maybe that's the danger of gigging. Not that you shouldn't help everywhere, but let's just be clear. Just like there are not great musicians or singers or whatever, sometimes not great preachers.
well,
And there have been people who are like, I don't want to listen to this.
we don't want to talk about that.
I don't want to hear this. Like, this is bad. You know, this is not good. But I once said, and I've said it multiple times, usually I tweet it or Facebook, it is like, we do live in a place where you're giving out excellence as musicians, you know, the singers and all, but not only is it good for your own soul to get a word or whatever, but the people are still watching you. The people are still watching you. And I've sat there and watched people engage. And y'all know how we do worship. Come on and do this. Come on and do that. Da, 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 da. You ought to be doing it. And then lift your hands. Da, 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 da. And as soon as they're off the stage, they're either on their phones or out the room.
Come on, sir.
And the people are looking like, so the worship just stopped when you walked off the stage, or the preacher gets up. And again, I'm not saying you don't need to veg out, check on things or whatever. I get that. But there were times I watched the entire crew like we're checked out. Not even trying to show, like, almost you forget that. And Ariel made a great point about presentation matters on multiple levels. Like that's a multi-level kind of situation. Presentation matters in the excellence you give. Right. Presentation matters in, you know, the setup of your church and what you're doing. But it also matters that you exhibit and exude what you were promoting while you were playing. You know what I mean? Like, the preacher can't just be good when he's hooping because you get to get back on. Right. Or you get to flow when he's done in worship or whatever. And again, I'm all for a break and all. And I literally did have once upon a time when I was growing up. CJ knows what I'm talking about. We did have an organist who would he was ready, to reach into his pocket and get what he needed, before the hoop. But I mean, to be totally checked out, I think it's a bad look.
Yeah.
And if you're supposed to walk off for a minute, which we see it all over, white churches, black churches. I mean, the white church people, they disappear and come back, and they be coming in like ghosts. Like the white church people, like if you go to like the dark churches at they literally just slip out, and then they be knowing exactly. They don't even hoop like that, but they know exactly when the cat is getting there. And next thing you know, you hear a guitar like doom 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 doom. You're like, oh shoot, where'd he come from?
Right.
Because he knew exactly when to come back in. But I mean, like, I think that matters, that there is a respect for the word. That is still the main thing. Even if it's not high quality, it's still supposed to be the main thing. I've been seeing, like, we know that music can't go, we know that music plays a huge part in the church, but I'm seeing a disturbing amount of people basically saying things like, there would be no church without music, or let us leave and see what happens, like that kind of thing. And I can speak from experience. I can't preach to an empty room without an organ. Yeah. Like, I've torn up a hotel bar, and I'm not saying like arrogant and black. I can tear up a hotel bar and make you throw your chicken and do all that stuff. But he was all greasy one time. I was in Canton. But I feel like that's, first of all, what you said, the public rebuke of musicians, but then there's also the public clapback from musicians.
Right.
And so, what do you think about that whole conversation being public, essentially?
I think it's public because it didn't happen in private.
That's it right there, dog. Yes, sir.
Because there's two sides to that coin. There's the one of like, okay, you chose to play at a church, which is a religious establishment, which there's a culture, there's a way, and there's a structure to how we move and do what we do.
Right.
The flip side is, if I'm not a member here, even if I am a member here, at some point there is going to be a business transaction.
Right.
So even if, I know a lot of people don't like hirelings, I am a hireling at some point. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think a lot of times some pastors, they get guys where it's like, I need someone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, I have the skill set it takes to be hired to do the job.
Right.
I do not intend on getting baptized here. I don't intend on handing you your towel when you sweating.
Right.
I'm going to play the organ when I'm supposed to play the organ.
And I'm out.
Yeah. And so I think it's tough because if you don't have that conversation, which is, for some guys it's tough, some guys it's not. If that's not established beforehand, you will get a lot of, there'll be signs of miscommunication. I'll just say that.
Right.
But as far as the, I don't know. I struggle with the whole thing of what'd you just say?
There's no music without the church.
Yeah.
There's no church without the music.
Come on, like, okay, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think
I get where it's coming from, because obviously a certain presentation, it does. It lifts the
It all goes
spirit.
together.
We know what it's like. We know what it's like to have to struggle without music.
Absolutely.
I know what it was like when I was playing for myself, getting up off the organ and preaching the dryness.
Yeah, I remember.
I know what it feels like. You feel a lot better when Raymond slip in.
Oh, yeah.
It just is what it is, But I feel like it gets a little far with the mentality of, and sometimes I'm thinking there's a difference between church, and I hear this a lot, and I respect it. There's a lot of cats being asked to play for conferences, concerts, revivals, the extra stuff.
Yeah.
And they're getting shafted.
Yes.
And I look at that like, first of all, nobody asked for that. Mm-hmm. You made something up, and then you want a bunch of cats to come in and make your event look good for cheap.
Right.
I can see if it's Sunday morning where it's community, this is the standard of the community, this is on the corner where the dope man comes in.
Right.
But if you just trying to put on to get that crowd, to get them registrations, to rent that ballroom or whatever you're trying to do, and you still trying to give everybody $75 or whatever for 3 weeks of playing, I'd be like, I get it. Like, you should be paying these people what they're worth. You're not even family. You know what I mean? It's not fellowship. So I feel that. And I think that if I'm going to bring people in, unless they're trying to do me a favor or a solid, which you don't expect, you take it graciously if they want to do it for you. But this whole, I created something out of thin air, and y'all ought to come serve the kingdom because I said so.
Yeah.
I think that's bullcrap, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, again, that's not the church.
Now today, I see. Did we lose Mike again?
That Obama phone, man.
Yeah. So
Ariel,
today,
man, Ariel. We know what he needs for his birthday.
So today I was at a church. I went to visit a church, and I'm talking to the musician or the guy who was speaking. The speaker today was a musician, but he's also a preacher.
Right.
And I asked him, how's it going? And are you still playing at such and such church? He said, no, I've been playing. He said he's been playing at this other church for 3 years. Now I know he was playing at another church before that for several more years. But then he goes on to say, but my home church is such and such. He says, I haven't been at my home church in
Let's talk about home church.
how many years? So is that how can
Where's
that
your
be,
home church
is
at,
that your
Carrington?
home church? Can we talk about that? I mean, is that really your home church? If you've been playing at this church for 3
10
years,
right? Another church for 7 years.
and you ain't been there in 3 years, is that really your home church?
Man, if y'all knew, we talk about this stuff all the time. I got friends that say where I'm getting fed is where I'm a member. And then I got people who said, I never walked up there. I never told that pastor I was joining. I'm not on the Rolodex. I don't pay tithes here. Because some people say where your tithes go, that's where.
Right.
I'm like, well, my thing even with tithing in certain places, I'm like, well, now that makes me feel like, that makes me feel like this is like a club. You know what I mean? Like, I pay my tithes, so now I'm a member. I'm here every week playing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm listening to you more than they are.
Right.
Because I got to be ready.
Well, musicians have to hear everything.
Right.
Yeah, we got to, I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
I grew up on that.
But
He's still frozen, man.
I'm not going to lie. I struggle with this subject.
Of having a home church, you mean?
I mean, I guess the whole argument, because I'll use myself as an example. I play at Restoration Christian Fellowship.
Right.
But they are everything but blood related to me. That's family.
Right.
Pastor Walker.
Are you a member there?
I am under watch care.
You're under watch care.
Which is, I'm like, that is.
I ain't even got that. I ain't even got watch care at a CJ. Dog, I'm jealous.
I know this.
My own little bro.
Black History Month, but watch care is like the blackest thing.
It is the blackest thing in the world.
I'm like, oh my god,
It is, man.
that's the blackest thing.
I need to do a sermon about watch care.
Yeah, I got about 3 calls about watch care over the last
Oh, yeah.
over
Oh,
last
yeah.
week.
Oh, yeah, man.
And watch care is serious.
I'm like, come on.
It's when you're temporary based, like a temporary member. Yeah, I mean,
there's a difference. Like I have one of my assistant ministers' daughter. When she comes here, she comes to my church, and she's what they call a watch care member. Now she listens to us,
Right.
Online. She makes comments and stuff.
I'm watching
but when
and
she's
and Karen
where
and
she's
watching.
at, she goes to the church there.
But
So
I've had that with
that's
like
the
military
difference.
people that were stationed.
Right.
Gonna be stationed here for a year, college kids. Watch
But that's
care. I'm
different
here for
than
a
being
job.
in the same town.
and kind of just
It's a little,
right.
Yeah. How you watch care in your home
said
church
something
is
to
right
CJ.
across the street.
So I said something to CJ before the show a couple weeks ago. I said, if you don't want to be seen as a hireling, we like to rhyme, then you should be involved in the church beyond your hired things. And I think that that's a part of the disconnect, because when musicians feel unappreciated, or there's also a disconnected relationship with the broader congregation. Mm-hmm. And I say it like this: church musicians are like the student athletes of the church.
I say that all the time.
Because you have so much extra on you, extra rehearsals, extra time. But at the end of the day, you're still a student. And there are still student expectations. But my question might be, are you living up to those additional expectations? Can I get you at a men's fellowship? Will you come just kick it with the brothers when we're doing monthly breakfast? When you come and be a part of outreach, if playing is not a part of what you do, right. You know what I mean? Are you appreciating? Are you sticking around? I know you got things to do, but would you take a second to talk to the folk in the pews and get to know who they are or whatever?
Because they actually paying you.
Because they are paying you. Because keep in mind, I am not paying you. Right. I am just funneling.
Depending on the situation.
I know what you're right. Well, what some people do.
That's a whole other.
Well, I ain't. But but obviously, I acknowledge all the time. Hey, it is the church. We got Micah back. It is the church that allows me to provide this budget for us to have a band and musician, and they come to love. And what I do love about my church is they do come to love the brothers and sisters, if necessary, who serve at our church from time to time, or the musicians who are not technically a part of our church. They come to love them as their own. Like, you're like family to us too. We know you got a home church, but what's going on with you? Can we pray for you? You're going through struggle. A lot of musicians do not get that.
Yes.
They get ignored. Right. They get this. But let's say it is a good, healthy situation. What is your obligation beyond the hired part? If you're going to attend a church and be a part of that church family, you're worshiping, you're crying, you're watching prophecy, all that, where's the rest of it after that moment?
I don't know. You know,
And we might want to pay y'all more, to be honest. To be totally honest, I could probably make a better argument for a
Absolutely.
raise for a brother
Absolutely.
who's engaged with the church than a brother who slips out the back door.
I've had a pastor tell me that, and you know what?
You hear that, CJ?
The thing I dealt with though.
Should have came to brotherhood.
the thing I dealt with was, okay, you're saying, man, it'll look better or it'll be this way if you could be here or do that. My thing was always, man, if you knew what it took for me to be where I am and do what I'm doing, I think you would just agree with my number. But then that was a whole other conversation with.
I understand what he's saying. Yeah, because I get where he's coming from. I get it, but I get where you're coming from.
Right? Yeah, it's like, man.
Let's just talk. When we're talking numbers, let's just talk numbers according to the duties and what it is. Right.
This is a skilled trade. I'm like, you can go find
Fully
a plumber.
agree.
Like he got to go to school for that. What I can do, somebody got to go to school for. Now, I will say, us as black people, we are used to our kids being gifted and watching their uncle so and so, and then he grow up and like, wow, you just sprouted into this. You're kind of amazing.
Right.
But
you're still my nephew though.
Or you still you didn't go to school. It's like, hey, that doesn't matter. Bring the kid up here who plays, who went to school all his life. I'll kill him.
Right.
No aggressiveness on the podcast.
No, but that's preachers go through the exact same thing. There's people talking about you gotta have that piece of paper. Okay. You gotta have that piece of paper. And I'm like, I know 10 cats with that piece of paper and they're garbage.
Trash.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I really enjoyed what he said because he said, if you go get a plumber, you're going to ask some plumber to stay around and watch TV or watch a movie with you later on or come back. You're asking him to do all that.
If you live in my house.
Well, no, but he's talking about.
If he lives in my house.
That's different.
But we know that church is a different dynamic. It's a skilled trade, no doubt. Being in music, I would fight that all the time. Music is a skilled trade. My church was not a big paying church. When I became pastor at Agape and Michael was with us, our church was not a big pay. They decided to start taking care of me, but they always thought, this is a little Todd, we taking care of him. He's our own. We never had outsiders. And we had one outsider and almost killed it, and Jeff knows who it is. But we had one outsider, and that almost killed it forever because they played their one good song at audition. I realized that was the only song they could play. And I'm like, okay. I gave it a chance. My dad stretched himself, and then Micah came along, and they were like, okay, you can hire a good dude that's part of the church and is capable and growing and learning and, family and all that. So, but I think there's a value, but also it's not just the money part. It's also the spiritual health and connection and relationship of the person. Yeah. If you want to feel more, and I'm saying if you want to feel more value, but if we want that value to flourish more and that idea that you are more than a musician and we're not treating you as just a dude that plays keys and makes a shout, we'll be around when we don't want to shout. You know what I mean? Like, let me meet you, see you, talk to you, find out that you have other interests outside of your function. And we don't do that enough in church, unfortunately. And when you take a shortage of musicians where you have to be somewhere and you got to slip out and, go do your thing. And then that's the funny thing. We got to admit that that's a reality. I want my brothers to have a good church too. So that means that the church down the street, when your 90 minutes is done with us, you're going down there and don't have all day to spend with us because I don't want dude to go without. He's going to hire you too and, take care of business. So
these are starters for other conversations, but I don't know why we here for a certain reason.
That's okay. Actually, I don't want other dudes to have good church. I want to have the only good church. I want to be the only one having good church. We want to pull Micah in because Micah, he's you like in Mars somewhere, man. You need to call Elon Musk. We good?
You got a Pittsburgh Steelers phone.
All right, I know.
It's all good, man. We just going to have you come into the studio next time, man. We're going to have you come up.
But we want to draw you in, as I was saying earlier, like it matters to be a part of the fellowship. And honestly, because pastors are often advocating on behalf of musicians to the church, sometimes that function with the church outside of playing matters a lot, especially in traditional congregations. Now, at a light church or whatever, and I'm not, but at a church that might not be exactly the same. But if I call you the Second Baptist, they're like, who is this person? Mm-hmm. And what are they about? And if we're going to pay them some real, what they think is real money, then where they at? Where's life at? And I mean, I just want to ask you, do you feel like that's a value to be engaged, not just with a pastor and hearing their word, but with the church in general, like the church family?
Yeah, 100%. Just because I feel like when people come, number one, musicians and singers, we set the tone for the service. So, there comes a point to where people in the congregation want to see, are these actually good people singing these songs? Like, who are they? What's their name? What are they really doing? For instance, you see these people up here on stage. The only time you see them is on stage. You see them outside of church, they're doing something crazy. Sometimes it's just good for people to get to know the people that are up there worshiping. Sometimes there's specific singers you can hear through their singing, or even musicians, you can do their playing, you can feel the anointing. Like, listen, they got something on them. That's not the case with everybody. Sometimes they want to hear you talk and say, hey, this is actually a nice person. Like, maybe, I do need, so that's my take on that.
And maybe it comes down to, are you a relational pastor? Is it a relational church? Honestly,
yeah.
When we're with you, you are, let's go out and grab some wings. Let's go. I know
right
Pastor
now.
Mark is probably like that. I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Mark don't eat no wings.
well, Mark is light skinned. So
Mark is light skinned. This cat eat chicken tenders. Somebody tag Mark. They said Mark is still ordering chicken tenders at the steakhouse. We go blame that on
get those
Micah.
chicken on tenders.
Right. But yeah, some people are relational.
Some people are related. Some churches are relational. Some places. You're just not gonna hang out with everybody. You know what I mean?
It's true.
But I still think there's a time that you have to have some type of, I am connected to this church in some way outside of me playing.
Right.
So
Right.
I will say too, as a musician, if you're going to play the I'm a hireling card, be prepared to be treated like a hireling.
Absolutely. There it is. Yes, sir.
I say it.
That you've now set the terms for this relationship.
I just play there.
Right, yeah, like, okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna need, because when you're a member, you showing up late feels different.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
But that's how guys beat it.
I know. All right, right.
I'm like, I need you there when I need you there, period. But I know some guys are like, oh, well, that's brother so and so. It's like, oh, okay, because he paying tithes here too. Because I have many questions for pastors. Like, while we here,
Right.
how do you guys feel about a person playing at your church? Would you rather them tithe to your church if they're there every Sunday, member or not? It's like, I'm paying you and I'm preaching to you. I'm probably covering your soul, because if you're here at 11 a.m., where else are you at 11 a.m.?
Right. Well, I think more cats need to make it official.
Yeah.
Even if it is not going to be a forever arrangement. That clarifies a lot of expectations.
Right.
Because when you're a member, you have member expectations. Mm-hmm. When you're not a member, which happens beyond musicians these days, by the way, there's a lot of people that are not official members, but they call our church their church or have never come down. And unfortunately, that gives them the latitude to pick and choose. They tithe faithfully or whatever. They come faithfully. They feel accountable. But then when they don't have to, because I was never a member.
Right.
So I feel like start with.
They want to be accountable when somebody passed away, though.
Want to be accountable when you need a funeral.
That's
you want to be a part.
Get married.
I think if we would just make that official, take a little bit of the mystique away from that. Like, it's serious, but not so serious that you have to feel guilty if when 3 years from now or 5 years from now you make that transition, you're not a church hopper because you made a transition that life dictated to you. And then, okay, you end up at Pastor Jeff's church and you after a few months or a year or so, you join his church because you're going to be there for a minute. If we would just make that official, then it wouldn't be this, I'm playing and I'm tithing and you're covering me because I'm hearing you preach all the time, but I'm still not technically a member. Right. Because honestly, for those of us who live in this world, we have to live in that distinction because we're still not in this new world where people kind of don't care whether you're a member or not.
Right.
We still live in the world of old expectations where somebody might ask, are they on the roll? And we have to answer for that. Yeah. You know what I mean? What if you're the musician and you need help?
Particularly in Baptist churches. Particularly in Baptist churches.
Particularly in Baptist and traditional churches. What if you need help? Are you entitled to benevolence? What if a loved one dies? I would do it. And, it wouldn't be, but I know that a lot of spaces, they're like, that person ain't a member. They didn't want to be a member. They didn't come down the aisle. They didn't, da-da-da-da. So I feel like we're being put in a position to navigate that. I wish it would just start with membership or watch care, whatever you want to call it, and just be there. That way, we know you're supposed to give. We know you're supposed to be there. We know it's supposed to be a Bible study or whatever. Michael, what do you feel?
Yeah, so can I chime in? Because and this is like the ultimate great debate because I've seen it from every side, and I'll be honest, this is something that my dad, right or wrong, and I see his logic behind it. But back in the day, he always mentioned, in certain instances, he wouldn't join the church because he felt like he would be taken advantage of. So, sometimes when you're a member of a church, you're there for a long time. They feel like, listen, you're here with us. They may not give you, what you feel like you're worth because you're a member. Sometimes they want the pat on the back. They want the hometown discount. You've been here. Our funds are like this and that. The higher musician doesn't come in with that on his mind. And it can seem selfish, but it's understandable. So to me, like this whole conversation, I think is forever going to be going on. And it's like the greatest, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's incredible on both sides, from a pastor side, from an administration side, on the church side, and the musician trying to protect themselves. My thing is, it's tough, and everybody's walking assignment is different. Mine, I may not be as, fixated on the money, but I can't blame the person who has the one child who's struggling and who's dependent on music for saying, listen, I practice 7 hours a day. You're underpaying me. This is a full-time job for me. I come in, I can do anything you want me to do at any point. So there's just so many parts to it. I feel like we can talk about this for 2 weeks straight, like nonstop. But that's my question to you guys is, like Tank said, would you prefer them to join the ministry? My thing is, from a musician side, advocating for others, they feel like they can be taken advantage of by the church.
Right. I feel like it's the character of the pastor. Like, if it's my church, I would say, yeah, I'd like you to join. You get to know my character. Like Jeff said, we know each other. Honestly, if you went to another church and said, Pastor, what do you think? And I wouldn't feel the same way. I'd be like, I don't know if you should join, man. Just keep a little distance there. Like, because maybe we're noticing that other place operates differently and will likely treat you differently. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that. Protect yourself. So I feel it's contextual. It has to do with where you stand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think, like you said, it has to come from the character of the pastor. And I mean, I know when you played for me, Micah, you were much younger. We were both much younger. But I can recall, leaving church, after church, going to the, you remember, sometimes you would follow me to the ATM because the church didn't have the money, but I made sure you always got paid. It has to come from the character of the pastor. It has to say, you know what? I made this agreement with you, regardless of what our finances is going to be. I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of. Right. And I think it has to come down to that.
Throw one more at us, because I think this is good. We might have to flip the script and have the musicians ask the pastors questions for like a whole show. Yeah. But throw one more at us if you got something that might come from either of you, and we'll close out with that.
Mike, was there any on the screen that we needed?
Was there anything on the screen that we thought not too?
Okay.
So you saying the comments were trash today? Is what you're trying to say? That's what you trying to say?
That is not what I said. Don't get me in trouble, Tom. Don't get me in trouble.
He pointed to the trash can and said, "This is where the comments are going to go tonight."
I appreciate.
So
our
give me one
viewers
more.
and their
Give me one
comments.
more for pastors, man. Like pet peeves or whatever. Maybe we could try to answer it.
Michael, you got any questions?
You got all the good ones, man. Go to one of your Facebook posts. Man. You be posting.
Let's look up what that I gotta pop in on.
Right.
That I gotta come in on.
I did have some good.
We did have some good ones, man.
Some good ones.
You asked about. Remember that one you asked about with nostalgia and style and.
Oh yeah, anointing versus nostalgia.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like, people are like, "Oh, he's anointed," and I'm like, I think you like that song, or you like that feel, you like that era.
Oh, being sat down. We should have talked about being sat down.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
Let's do that. Let's do that before we leave. We will go into overtime on this one. Being sat down. Okay, here is Carrington's post. I found Carrington's post, Micah. If I'm an employee of the church, member or not, can I be sat down? Does it matter if I'm a member? Am I getting paid while I'm seated? I love how you past tense the sat down to seated. Why don't we fire people when they don't live up to the requirements of the position? Which is somewhat of a different question. I would say candidly, I have done that. I've had to let people go because they didn't live up to the requirements of the position.
Because if you're going to sit me down and I'm not getting paid, you probably should let me go.
Absolutely, because you're probably gonna go somewhere
You
anyway.
probably should walk away.
You're not
Doc.
gonna,
You probably should walk.
You're not gonna sit down when somebody else can hire you and somebody else can go ahead. That's a million churches out here need musicians.
But that goes back to being a hireling. It's like, if I hired you, this is a job description at this point.
Right.
Even if there's a morality clause or a spirituality clause or whatever in it, is an expectation. And I'm not, that goes back to membership. I'm not obligated to you in the exact same way. I may extend it anyway, but I'm not obligated to do that, and.
But how are you set down if you're not a member? I mean, you still just gonna come every day and you're not preaching and you're not playing? You still just gonna show up?
Because my thing is like, TD Jakes is paying a lot of money. I wonder if he's sitting guys down. Because I'm like, if I'm getting $1,500 a week to play at the Potter's House and you sit me down.
Well, churches like that have like a plan and a restoration plan, and they offer this, that, and the other, and all that. I did a situation where
does this dude get the? Because I feel like what's happening at those churches, in my opinion.
you get sin payments. You get like a reduced. you get like sin unemployment. You get iniquity unemployment for that.
I don't think they're.
We going to a commercial break because I got to go to the bathroom.
Here we go again.
Y'all kids 9:30. Y'all doing overtime.
Okay, let's move on.
I don't think they're checking them at the bigger churches. Now I'm not there.
You don't think they're checking them?
Man,
I think they do.
I think
That's too much money not to be checking people.
and that's the thing.
I'll check you for $50.
You should check them, but I also think I don't know.
Okay. Without saying, I had a situation where, something kosher shouldn't have happened. It happened. And I had to consider that the person has a family, has a soul, a lot of things. And they're wrong for what they did, but there was a path to restoration.
Yes.
And on that path to restoration with an acknowledgement, I was able to say, okay, I'm not going to leave your family out in the cold on your mistake because I know you depend on this. Like, I know there's a piece of this. It wasn't huge. It was actually like an auxiliary musician, but still, I know that makes a difference in their life. And so I think it was like 5 weeks or so. But we made do and made it happen while we brought somebody else in, or made do. And we brought somebody else in to fill in. I felt that it was important as a pastor to display that the standard still exists.
Yeah.
But also that compassion and love exists. And that person was maybe pseudo member, but member, like a part of the church and strong enough with the family of the church that made sense. There are some people who are just coming and going and they don't live up to the expectations. I give them a chance to rectify something. Now, maybe lifestyle doesn't matter as much to people if it's just a hireling situation. Because you know what you were getting.
Yeah.
You had to know what you were getting.
Yeah.
But on a membership situation, again, you're my member, and there are expectations that all members need to live up to. And I do have a thing about those individuals who serve the body in the house and are pouring out. But unfortunately, the church has been a place where there's rules for some and not others. And, I've watched whole pastors screw up massively, and they're like, oh, have some grace. And I'm like, nah, you would have sat the usher down for that. You would have sat the usher down for that.
Literally.
I literally had pastoral arguments in this city about this situation.
Absolutely.
Like, I've watched entire people get uprooted and upended over relational issues or whatever it might have been. And then I watch a pastor do it, and they're still God's man, and we don't want to throw them away. And I'm like, you threw a whole generation away.
Right.
When are you going to sit down? You know what I mean? And of course, that got me blacklisted for about 3 years. But it is what it is, because I see what musicians go through. I see what the average member goes through, because they always target that. But then on our end, it's just, grace, grace, grace. So I feel like you should extend the same grace that you would have extended to your pastor. How about that?
That's good.
And I bet you that pastor want that check too.
All y'all going to see Beyonce, all y'all sat down.
All y'all sat down.
All y'all sat
I
down.
saw y'all playing in the club on Valentine's Day. Y'all sat down.
Y'all in the hive.
Playing the devil's music. All right, we got one. This is good, y'all. We got to do a follow-up.
Yeah, I
We should
definitely
do a
want
whole
to.
musicians roundtable.
I definitely want to do a follow up on this subject. When you brought it up, I didn't think it was going to be this deep. I really didn't. But I see where we're going with this. I see where we can go with it. So yeah, next time we'll bring Micah on set. We can all be here at the same time. I think it'll be a little better. A question for the pastor concerning musicians. How do you feel about your musician playing church music on Sunday, but then maybe doing a gig in the club or something like that on Friday or Saturday?
I'm cool with it, as long as there is some restraint, some standard to what they play and where they play. Like just some restraint to that. Saying that a musician shouldn't play in a place where people drink, when I know plenty of saints that go eat in places where people drink, and they're playing secular music over the speakers at Red Lobster while you're there. So if they can play that Al Green song at Applebee's while the bar is 15 feet away from you, then why can't they set up drums and play an Al Green song live at a spot? I feel if there's restraint, music is a gift that goes beyond the church. It is uplifting to society and culture and a gift to all of creation, period. But I feel that they should still let their light shine wherever they are, and a lot of musicians do that. And we're blessed to be able to see musicians honor God even as they do secular music. You go to PJ Morton concert, their whole DJ is playing gospel music at the beginning. Everybody's singing melodies. So you're seeing that, so I think there's space for that. I think the old days of sitting people down because all they do is gig or they're gigging out, I think that's over. And I think there's a deeper understanding for those of us who are willing to understand. And I have yet to meet a musician at this point that hasn't played something. I mean, what's the difference between playing secular music at a wedding?
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, if you get asked to play that love song, what's the difference?
Right.
So
in the sanctuary.
So I know the guys that used to be sitting people down and you can't be playing in my church and the club and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not on that tip. I would just want someone to not be like wilding out publicly, acting crazy, cussing all the time, just displaying. And people have proclivities. And again, I'd be like, man, we'll just show some discretion, some restraint. Don't be like with the beer bottle, like, that whole thing. And I say the same thing to my deacons. Like, if you drink wine at home, drink your wine at home. Like, but don't be out here looking stupid. Like, that's a bad witness. Right. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. I know Pastor Jeff, you're going straight to hell at Progressive. I mean, with gasoline draws on. He's going to preach on you.
I totally agree with Pastor Todd, but my thing is, I mean, what's your discretion? What does your heart say? You know what I mean? I'm not going to judge you for you going out, because don't judge me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to cruise.
We know Jeff.
I'm going to cruise. I'm going to dance a little bit.
This is Michael Jackson.
I get to dance a little bit. You gonna
twerk.
I go over to Todd's house and drink Hennessy. You having his corner, top shelf. 1942. He got it.
We drink that Mad Dog.
He got it. That's how he does. It's all good. You know what I mean? And Mad Dogs and Wings did it. But hey, it's up to you. It's your discretion. Like you said, as long as you ain't out there, falling out and you're going to be on a YouTube video and embarrassing yourself as well as the church, you know what I mean? But go ahead, do your thing, man.
Don't compromise your witness. That was a good one from Ariel. Don't compromise your witness. I feel it. How you feel, Mike? You're one of those sinners, man. How you feel about sin? You be wanting to repent. You got to repent?
No, man.
Every Sunday.
I don't even know really what to say about that. I don't think it's an issue to play out, but I agree with you 100%. Don't mess up your witness out there doing crazy stuff. But a lot of the same people that have issues with musicians playing out elsewhere, if you told them what you're paying the musician in church, they would say, "Why are you paying them that much?" So it's like at the end of the day, we got to eat. And sometimes we don't need it, but even musician wise, like to be honest, a lot of musicians use the club as a place to kind of open up. You're not kind of musically, like it's 4 hours of just play. How much comes out of that? Like it's a whole bunch of different genres. It's like, dude, you got to be ready for anything at any moment. So from a musician standpoint, I agree 100%. Don't ruin your witness. Don't be out here on, like you said, on TikToks and World Star. This dude out here wilding out. That's just unacceptable. When you're a church musician, but
you definitely need that 4 hours now, because church, you get two songs and a shout at the end anymore, and it's over, Doc. You got hour services.
Well, that's true, because we have cut down a lot.
Yeah, Doc, you getting two songs and a shout, and it's over.
Yeah, 90s. Yeah, and that's another part of we had to pick this up another night, but that's another part of the pay thing. It's like church has constrained more.
Ain't no more Friday night services.
At our church, it's a hymn and two songs. That is a hymn and two songs, and I might throw a little extra churchiness in there, just filler this, that, and a hoop, and we going home. Like, so when people are like, I didn't get paid because it's this and this, I'm like, no, it's actually not. Like, it's this is what it is. It's 90 minutes, and we going home, an hour-long rehearsal or whatever, and we out. Pandemic did a lot of that. So, you know, I mean, I could get personal with some things that I experienced because I once cut the entire service out. And like, dude, you just got a 50% raise or whatever because I've literally cut your hours in half and we kept you where you was at. So I really need you to live up to what you were doing. Like, for real, for real. So if you late now, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I done literally saved you having to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, and now you messing up. Like, you know, that's a problem for me, you know, as a pastor, because I'm like, I was thinking of you or thinking of the situation. And when they came to me and said, yo, we going down to one, should we cut them? I'm like, nah, let's just keep it where it's at. But now I kind of really need you to be there. And I had a person that wouldn't and didn't. And so, so if they go out and play or whatever, I feel like it's good. Just don't be bringing that devil music in the church, man. Leave that Ohio players at the club, you know? We know it's Holy Ghost fire. We don't want to hear it. Fire.
Right.
That's some Carvel stuff. Carvel do that real quick. Be like, man, hit this bump right quick. And it'd be some Cool in the Gang. Cool in the Gang over the choir.
Bum-on.
Right, bum-on. We thought we was doing something too. Lil Kim. We did all the center music. And it was Joe, my man, I'm sinking. And it was Joe Walker's choir too. It was Restoration too, doing all the devil music. Hey, y'all, we way over time. Y'all give it up for Pastor Micah and Apostle Carrington for being with us. Y'all give it up, give the likes, the hearts. We said Ariel waiting for you. You know, she's like, baby, when you get off the phone, they still newlyweds, right? Look,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's hilarious. And we got the soon-to-be newlywed right here. I want to say first of all, I'm proud of you, brothers. All of the musicians, proud of you. I appreciate and respect you. I think these conversations are very necessary. You know, they're tough. And I like the tension in our own generation that we're probably having conversations that the older generation did not have with each other.
Right.
Even when it's tough.
Yeah.
Even when I'm like, I got my little thing to say. You got to think, you know, it's like they weren't doing that.
Right.
You know, and so I think it's a good thing to do. I think people enjoyed it. We did go long. They probably tuned out and watched the All-Star game and everything else. But it is what it is. We're going to have y'all back, man. I think we should just maybe set up even at the church and just do a round table of us just chilling. Or maybe, you know what? We need to be eating some wings, what we need to do.
Absolutely.
We need to be eating wings.
No, because I ain't trying to edit out no smacking.
That one time I had candy on the show. All right, we ain't going to do that. Any last words, fellas?
I just want to thank Politically Incorrect for having me on.
It's religiously incorrect.
That's all.
Oh, man. CJ told me it was politically.
You getting docked. You getting docked.
Don't put that on me, dog.
Don't put that on you.
Don't put that on me.
No, but for real, I appreciate y'all for considering me. And
It's all good, man. You done great.
Thank you.
We doing good. Micah?
No, I want to thank Religiously, Incorrect as well. Thank CJ. Thank you. CJ was behind the scenes sending me a link. So, I want to shout my mans out. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love, all three of you guys. Anytime you guys ever need me for anything, just let me know.
Sweet. Ariel, get your man a real phone, man. Get your man a phone, Ariel.
Right.
So he can be. All right, y'all. We appreciate it.
Hey, Micah, I'll hook you up, man.
He hook you up?
I'll hook you up, baby. I know you said you ain't had the haircut. I will get you right, Doc. Take me about 5 minutes. You'll be just like this.
I got waves right now with no hairline.
With no. I'm loving it. Hey, y'all follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Our audio will be up on all of the audio sites. And y'all take care. Have a good one. We'll see you next Sunday night service. Peace out. I'm just hold this until y'all get it right. Okay.